Alright, hello again. Still doing this brake servo on the gt6 in the Grease Monkey workshop. Everything, like I said, you know, at the end of the last video, we just doing all the clean up and painting of all the different components, plunger, piston, you know, casings, etc. So we're back to just stick these back together. Having finished all the hydraulic cylinder side of things. So let's make a start on that. Let's bring the camera down so we can see what we're doing on the bench there. There you go. Well, first of all, what we've got to do is we've got to put the cylinder back onto this casing, you know, for the vacuum cylinder. I just annealed these little copper washers are down here are copper washers and seals. You can reuse them if you know, just anneal them, heat them up to cherry red again, let them dry. Doesn't seem to want to do that. Oh, that's very interesting. Look at the gasket that's supplied. We'll put it back in the camera. Can you see what we've got there? Right, well, that hole there is not showing blank, but if you notice the top hole there is not in line. We turn it over so that's in the place so that needs to be. Them are still there. Top hole, there's nowhere near in line. But obviously that's the way it goes. Not a big problem. It's interesting. I don't think it's a real serious problem. What we'll do there, we'll just get a pencil and just cut a bit of that gasket out. It's obviously not needed. That's how can we say, a slight hiccup in the design, I would say there. Let's have a pair of scissors. Just take a little bit of that gasket with me. Only minimum amount, obviously, like. I've taken a, you can see that shape now with that little side there we've cut away. See, not quite there, in line there, and like I say, a little bit of that hole's not in line and quite a lot of that hole's not in line. As you can see, the hydraulic cylinder is shaped like that with quite a narrow side to it there, so it should have really, it was easy to just follow the shape of that gasket, wouldn't it? Put it on there. I'm trying to show this there. So we've got it all in line there. I cut out, there's a bit more meat on there than what there needs to be. So what I'm going to do there, I'm just going to take a little pencil. I think probably should have done this in the first place, just to follow this side. And use that bit of pencil line to cut that out. I'm actually thinking it might work on the. I made a neat edge on it, and now it fits. Now it fits perfect. Well, there you go. That's all we're asking for, wasn't it? Ball plate on the back, and put this now in the vise, which and what I'm going to get a little bit of Loctite threads. And the reason we're doing that obviously is because this these bolts coming from inside the housing, so once it's inside there, if they start to come loose, we're not tightening them up. Can't get to them, can you, without stripping the whole thing down again. Now on these washers here, you can see where there's a previous line. I don't know where you can see that. a little line and indentation around there where it was used to seal last time. So all I'm going to do is put it in so it's on a new side, so there's no little ridge. So when we tighten up onto these holes, it's onto a new good seating, if you like. Get them all in and started. And to support this, just a little bit more beef on there, just so we can tighten them up. I'm going to have to have a good clean up as well, I think, at the end of this job, because it's beginning to look a bit of a mess in here. Oh dear. Single X socket. Keep going round nice and even all the way around, pull it down tight. Careful you're not ripping these washers apart. They've got to be tight. But we don't want to damage the washers. I think that's about us. Better. Happy days. We're now back together. Right, next piece, piston. Pushed in nicely. It obviously fits well because the air pressure is pushing it back. One thing we must do before we do anything else is put the damn spring in, which we've got to clean up. This is the old spring, it's all a bit shitty. I'm going to give it a quick wash on the wire wheel so it's all on there. Which way around does that go? And that's the way. Lots of ways of doing these kind of jobs. You find out which way around stuff goes by just sticking it in there and having a look. It becomes very self-explanatory. Put the little diaphragm on top. Scenario, which is that one there, where this goes back on. Because you've got this hole there, and this hole there lines up with, let's pan out a bit now because we need to show a little bit where it is. We've obviously got the pointing at it there, that's a vacuum chamber from here, and obviously this lines up with that via the little rubber grommet, which has to get right. One being on there, gets in there. But remember, that kind of fits on inside. You push it in, which locks in there, and then we have on the inside this little piece of plastic here which pushes in to lock the whole thing in. So let's kind of do that. Let's see if it will go in. And we can see it, see what we're kind of doing. On the inside of that rubber, there you go. And see how it pushes in, and what that's doing is fundamentally locking this in place. Happy days. Right, and then obviously we can stick that back in there. Only one thing I've got to do now, and I've actually forgotten to do, is I haven't cleaned up the clamp. I meant to just give this clamp a bit of a clean. It's not actually too bad, but you know, me being me, like, I want to just give it a bit more of a clean over. Right then, that's it, just got this all cleaned up again. getting it ready to go in there, which I'm hoping will go quite straightforward, but I've never done it before, so we may end up having to somehow clamp it top to bottom. So what I might do is just get a G. Right, well, we can see all kind of what we're doing here. Line that in the centre there. Put that over there, so it goes down onto its. Oh. That's why we've got it open, look. Oh. More effort on the vise. We've got to work it, haven't we, around the back of there. We could put that on first. Down the bottom here, which I think would have been probably the better way. Right, where did we agree we wanted it to go? So it was like there, wasn't it? Push it down. Right, this looks like it's a bit of a pain in the backside whilst we clamp it up. Let's push it in a bit on one side and we clamp it on this side as well. Da, 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 da. This is one of them jobs, I think, if you can find a mate with nothing to do for an hour, just looking for my torch, which is there. Where's that one? Oh, it's got to come in a lot, this has, yeah. That's better. And there. And you can see when you look inside this bracket, it's just got little cutouts, little pressings that just clamp in the outside of it to push them in. And you've got to get them on both sides. And I'm not saying it's overly tricky, but I think it's like, say, a good couple of hands might be the best way. The best way of getting it sorted in the right place. We can nip it up. Clamp off. And have a look. It's the only way around it. I was starting to kind of see how it kind of flips. I mean, you will see these little cutouts here, and what they're doing is sort of gripping behind the caps there, which seems like they're all doing on that side. And I think it does. I think it's there. I'll have to show you that bit when we get it mounted. What it is because this all fits in onto the vehicle thus, you've got the bulkhead all down here, it's all very tight. You've got to turn that around so that faces that way, because the pipe comes through a hole in the mounting bracket and couples up to there. And we're putting these type of clips on it. I prefer these in this kind of scenario, like. just got to clamp them up yet, and when I find the tool to do that, I'll do just that. But looking around, it's all clipped in, all back in there. Seems a bit where you've got no clips right at the end of there, but there's no special setup place for that to be. It is just what it is, I think. Hoping that's right, you know. But fundamentally, I think, except a bit of paint work, I think that's it. I'm going to clip these up, put hoses on, get it back on the body tomorrow, once it's all painted, all this section here. Brush paint all this, I like to get a bit of paint on it. Also matches all the rest of the vehicle then when you do that. So that's the kind of direction we're going, and then we're going to fit it. So we'll do the usual recap. So that was it. You know, there's not an overly difficult job, a bit fiddly at places. Certain rules you've got to adhere to, cleanliness being probably the #1 rule. You get them full of dirt and you've wasted your time putting them back together. What else can we say? Getting this, well, I'll show you this old unit here, that it was broken anyway. This little top piston here was in there, it corroded had oxidised in so badly I couldn't move it one way or the other. And when I was noticing it, there was the crack on this particular one, on these bolt holes right through. I don't know how that had happened. I've had it given to me, it's probably why, because it was knackered. But I said on the video, if you're having any problem whatsoever really getting that thing out, I'd drill it out. Nice drill down the centre and tap it. Maybe take a quarter bolt, you know, or 6mm if you like. Down the end of there and then pull it out gently, that, and I'm pretty sure it'll come out at that. They're a simple thing to make. Anybody with 10 minutes in a lathe will do that in 10 minutes. You could try and maybe, fundamentally I suppose, it's only a blanking plug. You may be able to drill it so far in, not all the way through. How far would you have to drill it? That's that far. Now that measurement is, got a little tape measure. It's about 3/8 thick, or if you want to put it in metric, about 10mm. So fundamentally, if you like, you could drill so far into it, thread it so far with a nice bottom tap, and use that to try and maybe work it out. And then you could, even though you drilled it out, if you've not drilled all the way through, you could simply cut the bolt off, fire it down nice and flat, and that's the bung made good again, isn't it? It's you don't have to get one made, but it's such a simple thing to make. It probably isn't worth faffing about. Just get it out. So any other problems, I don't know. I got my parts, like I say, from a company called Past Parts. I got the phone number from a friend, but I'm sure they've got an internet connection somewhere. But we'll see on there. But I think that's fundamentally it. And I'll show you when it's all mounted on the vehicle, and it is very tight how it goes in there, because these servos were a bit of an afterthought on a Mark III GT6, because they were only fitted, like we said, to a later model Mark III GT6. But fundamentally you can fit them onto anything, as long as you find this unit and the mounting brackets. It's obviously you've probably got a manifold which, if it isn't drilled, you just simply drill it again. That's just drill a hole and tap it. Put a unit in it to connect the vacuum pipe from the induction manifold, and then you've got power brakes. Now the only other thing I'll do with this before I fit it on, I'll just prime it with a bit of brake fluid, clean brake fluid. Try and get any air out of it you can, because they can cause a bit of an issues bleeding things up. It can be a bit of a pain, I believe. Again, I've not done it, but I can understand the way it's kind of made. There's a lot of opportunity to get air into there. So I will prime it first, and then what I do is, because you've got to be careful with this damn brake fluid getting it on your paintwork, is I prime it, and then I use two two old male fittings with pipe in them, squashed down, sealed up if you like, and I screw them in the top, and that seals then all the fluid actually inside this chamber, and then we don't remove them till it's all bolted up and we're ready to put our pipe work you know, straight into it. Like, you know, that's fundamentally how I do it. Whether it helps or not, I think it probably does personally. You know, the least amount of air you've got in there, the probably the better. But while it's in this state, you can kind of, you know, do all this kind of caper with it to try and, you know, get any air out you possibly can, like. So I think that's, you know, that's the way I should be going about doing it. I don't think there's any need to show it. You're only pumping, you know, pouring brake fluid into it, aren't you, kind of thing. And then that's fundamentally it. Like I say, it's not an overly difficult job to do. Bit fiddly in places. Nothing more than, you know. And that, I think, it's within the realms of anybody to do it. But like I try and say to people, if you're not quite sure, you know, what you're doing, then stop what you're doing and find out. If you're feeling a bit as though maybe you're struggling to undertake something like this, then perhaps it might not be the thing for you. But bear in mind, these things are £450 on the internet. I found some on the internet. This girling type, there's 3 types. There's A, B, and there's 21. What this is, and they're asking 450 quid for them. So that's an awful lot of pennies, isn't it, really, to do that. I know you can get smaller ones, Lockheed ones, new ones, well, they say they're new, which may work just as well. I've no experience of them, so I can't say. That's probably the way a lot of people would go, but if you wanted to put this type on, you're looking at 400 odd quid. But, you know, if you're feeling as though it's a bit more than what you want to do, then the best thing to do is not to do it at all. Because it is a braking system, isn't it? So, you know, let's think safe on all aspects of this. These things will do 100 miles an hour, and you want to know it's going to stop each and every time you want it to. So it's one of them jobs that I don't think is overly difficult. Fiddly, yes. There are some couple of engineering tricks in there you may have to employ to get it all stripped out, because of the damn things are so old, they're corroded in. After that, it's just cleanliness and care, you know. You know, when you're swapping your seals around, do them one for one, you know. So you take one seal out, you take notice which way it goes around. The small shuttle one, they actually face opposite to each other. But if you take one seal off and put your next seal on, you know, clean the whole thing up first, take one seal off, take your note which way it went round, put your new seal back onto there, then remove the other seal from there and put that one on the right way around. You don't end up with a load of seals all over the place. You know, your old ones to one side, your new ones in your hand, and you think, which way around do these go? It's one for one. It's by far the easiest way to make ensure that you put them back in the right way. And after that, you know, put it on the car, and I think that's it. Like I say, I've just got to paint it now, and that's me done. So we'll call that the end of this particular video. We'll probably include just a bit of you know, video just putting it on, piping up. Probably not piping. Watching piping is boring, but I will show where I route my pipe work, because it's quite tricky to go around there and end up getting into the top of these. But you know, that's probably on the next video, like. So thanks for watching this, and like I say, you know, get cracking if you think you're up to doing it. I hope I've shown a few of these things that could be, you know, small pitfalls where you're gonna struggle. And like I say, I've never done one of these before, so I'm working blind. You know, it's not easy. We all say who do videos, it's not easy to actually do the job and do the video at the same time. You do sometimes look as though you're working like a complete plank, but you know, there's a little bit of how can I say, difficulty in thinking, can anybody see what I'm doing, or am I just rabbiting on for no reason? So you know, it may sometimes look a tad more involved than it actually is, you know what I mean, when you're doing it on your own and you've got drawings and pictures, like, you know, always a good thing to do. So like I say, without going on too far, thank you very much for watching. Anybody who wants to send in comments or anything like that, to if they're not quite sure on something, you know, I'm really glad to help them out. You know, respond to the comment, and we'll see you on the next video. There's still quite a few more to come on this restoration, so we'll see what comes next. So bye for now, see you on the next one.